I think one is taking care of yourself in any way that you can. I think two, it's being in touch with your body and being in touch with your emotions and your feelings and like staying present in the moment and doing that kind of body scan, that checking in of how am I currently feeling? Am I happy? Am I angry? And, you know, did that person say that? Or did something trigger me of just, because I think people can kind of go on autopilot and they're just doing the actions every day, you know, same thing, the job, the come home, the go to sleep. But it's like, you have to take the time to really check in with yourself of how am I feeling?
Purpose in the Youth. Purpose in the Youth podcast. Welcome back to the Purpose in the Youth podcast. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Purpose in the Youth podcast with your favorite bearded man, the one, the only, Bobby. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Purpose in the Youth podcast with your favorite bearded man, the one, the only, Bobby. Today in the building, Megan Gallagher. What's up?
Woo! So excited to be here.
Are you?
Like, pinch me. I feel like my cheeks are gonna explode.
Let's go.
Heck yeah.
I think this is a long time coming podcast, and I love how, you know, Alexis Curtis, past guest of the podcast. We got my fellow bearded brother Rob Lawless. What number were you? Do you know? For the 10,000.
I think it was like 2,859.
So you got it.
Yeah.
I was 17, 18.
No.
I was early. Oh, wow. So shout out to my man Rob 10K.
Yeah.
But yeah, this is deep diving into some of your story and just kind of seeing the energy you're putting out and what you're all about. I was like, this is somebody that for sure fits on this podcast. And so we're going to get into it today. We're going to deep dive. We'll probably talk about Justin Bieber again at some point if he comes up in the conversation. Now that you're friends with him, you know, working out with him.
Low key, maybe, kind of. We made eye contact for 5 seconds.
Where was that? What was the name of it?
Dog Pound.
Dog Pound.
The
okay.
gym, yeah.
Dog Pound, the gym. This episode was brought to you by Dog Pound. I need to get them to send me some sponsor money for this.
Yes.
So, you know, you've given a TED Talk. You've been on NBC News, Fox 11 News, Good Morning La La Land, and a lot of other media outlets. But what's so interesting to me, as we'll get into at some point in this podcast, is you have so much confidence and like authenticity in you. Where does that come from? Because that wasn't always in you, right?
Yeah.
So where did all of this confidence to share your vulnerabilities, to share your story, where did you get that from?
I would honestly say two things. One, it came from my family. Growing up, I just had the most supportive, positive family. Like I struggled a lot with mental health and just loving myself and body image and a lot of stuff. But my parents and my sister were constantly like feeding me, just like, you're so smart. You look so good today. You're so beautiful. Like just constantly. So I'm like, okay. And it's like, I feel like whatever your surroundings are, you start to believe it.
Yeah.
So thankfully mine was really positive. So I'm like, well, maybe I am really pretty.
Yeah.
And maybe I am going to do amazing. Like I just started to believe it and the negative thoughts kind of went away. And secondly, I would owe it to just myself and looking back and being grateful for how far I've come, like starting therapy at 11 years old. Stopping when I was 17, and that was like twice a week, every single week for like 8 years. And just learning to exercise and to love my body and to view it as something that's like, this is my temple. Like there's blood pumping, I'm breathing in oxygen. It can do all of this while I'm talking to you instead of like, oh, I feel fat. I feel like not pretty enough. I have really retraining my mind and just, I think I owe it to like my family, but also just myself and doing a lot of just meditation and alone time and like soul searching. Yeah.
I mean, you need those people around you, right? Like having your support system is important,
yes.
But a lot of the credit still comes down to you because it's like anything else in this world. Like we could be handed the opportunity of a lifetime, but if you're not ready to step up to the plate and ready to deliver on it, it's never going to happen. So it's important that you had the sister and the mom and the father, like, you're beautiful, you got this, like, we believe in you.
Yes.
And I really do believe that mindset. Like, I really believe what you see in your mind can fruition into what you see in your life. Like, I'm always telling people I'm the best podcaster in the game. I got the greatest content. And I'm just like, truthfully, like, it's all subjective.
Yeah,
but I'm just going to convince myself and everybody that I come in contact with, be like, shit, he's saying it. Like, I got to believe in it. It's the same thing, right? Like, I'm beautiful. I know that everybody has their strengths and their weaknesses. I need to work on some things. But also the temple aspect of, like, your body is your vehicle. Treat it right. Feed it the right things.
Exactly.
And you mentally, and you operate at a better level by doing so.
Yeah.
And you grew up in, is it Lafayette, California?
Lafayette. People pronounce it different ways.
Okay, and that's outside of Oakland, right?
Yes, exactly. A little bit like San Francisco, Oakland, across the Bay Bridge, like 30 minutes east.
Yeah.
Super, suburbia, kind of just like a bubble.
Yeah.
Growing up there, it was really a blessing because it was super safe and there was a great school system, and it was a very nice place to grow up. But also it has its cons where it was like really academically competitive and just very high stress of like, well, there, this person drives this kind of car and this kind of clothes.
The Joneses, right? Keeping up with the Joneses.
Yeah,
like
it was a lot of that because it was a very nice community. And my family, I had it very well off as a kid and growing up, and that's one thing that now I'm becoming a young adult, I've realized is such a blessing, like just coming from a solid family. But it all, like my family, like we weren't really, like comparing ourselves to other people or, oh my gosh, what grades we weren't like most families in our community where it was like, what's your grades this month, honey? What's your GPA? Are you worried about like the crazy high, like my parents we're all free spirits in my family.
And what did your parents do for a living?
My mom is a residential real estate agent, and my dad is a commercial real estate agent.
Oh, so they're just tackling the California real estate industry.
Yeah. So they're similar. They're really good with people. They're really good at sales and like networking and like, hi, my name is like, they're really, really good at that. But so my mom does like houses, residential, and neighborhoods. My dad does big pieces of property, like big, warehouses or like Walmarts or Costco's. Yeah.
So it goes hand in hand. They can help each other out a little bit.
Yes, yeah.
And how was your relationship with your sister growing up? Is she older or younger?
She's older. I'm 23 and she's 27.
Okay.
So it was really good. We obviously, when we were teenagers, I mean, it was just like, you took my shirt.
Yeah.
Like
4 years and being sisters, I can only imagine you guys must have been bumping shoulders a little bit.
Oh yeah. I mean, half the time I was like jumping on her, like ripping off her hair. Like I just was like, oh mother, like so angry.
Ripping her hair out.
Oh yeah. Like pinning her to the wall and just like, but,
we're okay, Mom. Yeah. We're okay.
Close the door.
I'm just teaching her a lesson.
Yeah. But it was really good. And I also am a big believer that things happen for a reason. And I also I become really spiritual as a person. And I really do believe that the theory of we pick our family members in this lifetime, which some people are like, that's pretty far out. But I really believe that like we can have like soul mates and like soul contracts with certain people. And I really feel like I chose my parents in this lifetime to learn certain lessons from them. I know a lot of like, Esther Hicks and Marianne Williamson, Deepak Chopra, a lot of the spiritual like guru leaders of the world.
Yeah.
They really say that. And like, I've come to really believe that I did pick my parents in this lifetime and my sister and the people that you meet and you're like, I feel like I've known you for 100 years. Like that instant connection. I feel like we're meant to meet those people for a reason.
Yeah, that's a whole nother world that I need to start diving into more. Like I've definitely become much more spiritual in probably the last year. And even in the books that I'm reading now, it's definitely like paying attention to things happen for a reason. Timing is everything. But and that's the thing. Like a couple years ago, I might be like, what is she talking about? She picked her parents. She picked her sister. But like, you gotta be open-minded. You gotta do some research and like look into these things because it's very interesting how it's not just a coincidence that dots connect. Like I don't know. I need to look more into like what that really means of saying like I picked my parents, but I'm open to hearing, you know what I mean? Like I don't really know how that world works, but I definitely think there's a lot of interesting things within the spiritual world that I need to dive into more.
Yeah. I mean, just growing up for me, at 9 years old, I had my first reading from like a psychic medium. Like that's the kind of household I grew up in. My mom would have energy people over and feng shui people to put crystals in certain places in the like, not like we're eating tan bark and we're like have armpit hair out to here and we're braiding it. Like, but super bohemian and kind of free-spirited, really open-minded. So I had my first like psychic reading at 9, and I'm like, my parents showed me the movie The Secret when I was 11.
Whoa.
Which is all about
I don't think I saw it. I don't think I've seen it. Yeah. I might have to put that on the list to do tonight.
Oh, that's a powerful book and movie. It's all about manifesting and the power of your thoughts.
So why were your parents doing this? Like the spiritual stuff, bringing in people? Like what was that all about?
I think one, they were both just fascinated with it, and they were just like, what's good for us is good for our daughters. And I think they were just fascinated by it. Like like my mom's always been really interested in psychic and mediums, and her dad passed away when she was pregnant with me, and she said that after that, like that was obviously very traumatic for her, but it really like opened her eyes to like the spiritual world and life after death, and like this can't just be it. Like I had there, like just,
we're all energies.
We're all energy, and it's like just because you die. I mean, you're right. It's a whole conversation, but just because like you pass away doesn't mean it's like
you're gone. You're just gone.
Right. There must be something after like this earth, like physical realm. But she's just always been so interested in it, and my dad's like, yes. Like so supportive. And
well, he's probably living by the philosophy that my father lives by: happy wife equals happy life. So he's just like, whatever you say, honey, we're doing it.
Know.
Bring them in. Bring in the spiritual leaders. We're having a party. Bring them on in. I saw that doing some research for this, you're definitely a creative and curious kid. You loved to sew and make clothes. You played the clarinet. You played in school plays. You would dance whenever you could. Were there certain passions that you kind of you enjoyed the most, or were you just always forever just trying different things and just seeing, oh, this is fun, and then 2 or 3 years later try something else and then try something else?
Yes, that's actually exactly what happened. My parents were very supportive in like, oh my gosh, I want to be a fashion designer when I'm older. Put Megan in sewing classes. Like, and I really think that I owe a lot to how I was raised and how supportive my parents were of, oh my gosh, she wants to play the clarinet. Like, she loves SpongeBob. She loves Squidward. Put her in a band class at school. And they just were the most supportive. Every week it could be a new thing. And they were like, we'll find a way to make it happen. Wow. It's going to be amazing. But yeah, it was like, I would try softball for a month. Didn't love it. And then it was sewing classes. And then it was swimming and soccer and lacrosse and just so many sports until I really was like, I actually love acting. I started acting in 4th grade and then did it all the way till the end of high school.
Wow.
And any, like, the local play, theater, school theater, like...
First hand was up.
Anything. And it really... I was also having such bad anxiety at the time, so I was constantly like, oh my gosh, like, I had so much energy. That's why I was, like, the goofy, like... literally in my class. But because I didn't know what to do except, like... get the energy flowing, because it felt good. Like, it feels good to exercise. You feel less anxious after, and I love just being the funny one, because it was like a way for me to deflect my anxiety. And they're like, oh well, Megan can't be anxious because she's so funny all the time. Like,
so did you like the acting because it was like all the attention is on you, or was it like a place for you to translate that energy and like, okay, I'm on stage now, I can really blossom and put out this energy, and it's totally okay. Whereas in the classroom, and I'm like jumping around, people are like, sit Megan down. No, it was that. On stage, it was also, I kind of blacked out every time. Like, I would literally... I black out during these every time, so don't worry.
Oh, no, like my TED Talk, I don't remember it. I fully, like, I remember towards the end, I'm like, okay, and thank you. And I remember like the microphone right here, and I'm like, and there's like 800 people clapping. I'm like, I felt like my soul left my body. I'm like, I'm back down to earth. Like, this is so crazy. But I liked that I forgot about my stresses and I would go on stage and I felt like I was a different person and I could literally forget about my anxiety, the problems of 5th grade, but like throughout my whole, like, I just forgot and I could be a different person and make other people feel good.
Okay, this is a big conversational piece. You had said earlier that at 11 you started going to therapy.
Yes.
But then it was when you were 14, it was your freshman year of high school.
Yes.
You literally had like a panic attack in your English class, and then that translated to literally every classroom, and it was like this big problem.
Yeah.
Where does this stem from? What's causing the anxiety or panic attack? Because if that's happening at 14, but you started seeing a therapist at 11, what causes all this to happen?
Yeah, so for me, growing up, it runs in my family. It's anticipatory anxiety and panic attacks and some other stuff run in my family too. But basically, if you were to come to my childhood house and watch all of my home videos and it's always, my mom's like, oh, Megan, why are you crying again? I mean, I'm just like... like
emotion roller coaster.
Emotional at 3 years old, crying. I want my mom all the time. I would not let her leave my sight at every like mommy and me dance class. I'm like a barnacle. I'm like, you are not leaving.
Wow.
And so I think when when you're 3, it's like you're so young. Like you can't really form. I don't even know if people are talking at 3.
I don't know either.
Yeah, so you're just forming words.
But it's also too, you're a kid, so like anything that everyone's just like, yeah, she's a kid. She'll grow out of it. You know what I mean? That's always the easy out.
But so even at 3, I mean, I would get so hysterical and anxious, but thankfully my mom was very aware and she's really intuitive and she just is very like, okay, so she knew that I was always a really sensitive child and that I would get really overwhelmed if she took me to like a block party or something. And I just was like, I'd start crying at 3. And then as I got older and I was, started to talk and started to walk and I, started school, it started making more sense to me as I became more aware of my body of like, okay, wow, so I'm sitting in English class and it's 4th grade and I feel really hot and sweaty and I feel like I can't breathe and I want to die and like my chest feels really tight and clenched and I'm like, oh my God, like, and I didn't realize that my thoughts were creating.
You were overreacting.
Yes. I wasn't aware that my thoughts were creating the physical feeling because that's like 1,000 thoughts per second. So I'm like, can I go to the bathroom? And then that started like many years of just in every single class because my mind would start anticipating that I would feel the same way at 11 o'clock every single day because I still didn't know what was going on. I literally thought it was like a stroke or a heart attack or just something really scary. And then at 11, right as I was starting middle school, I sat my parents down and I'm like, okay, after dinner, I was like so nervous. My hands were shaking. I'm like, I don't know what's happening, but and I just like word vomited for like an hour trying to put words and explain what I was feeling. And my parents kind of like looked at each other and they were like, Megan, it's something called anticipatory anxiety and it runs in our family. Like they just broke it down and I'm like, there's a name for it.
Wow.
Like,
so they have never mentioned this before to you?
No, never.
And did either your parents have this in them?
My dad.
Okay.
So it's my dad's side of the family. He had it horrible growing up. And my sister never had it, so they didn't really talk about it because she's older. And then, Megan came along and I was like, sensitive, crying, always like just really upset and worried. And I'm also glad that I didn't have parents that were like, oh, you're just doing this for attention, like just dismissing it.
Yeah.
Like my parents actually,
They were listening to you.
They listened.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think they were smart not obviously mentioning it to you beforehand because they don't want you to get all worked up and be like, wait, what do you mean I have this disease?
And anticipate that.
Yeah. And then that really just becomes a roller coaster ride. Were you finding anything that was specifically helping? I know that's when you started like messing around. Well, you had the therapist. You started practicing meditation, exercising daily, journaling. Was there any one thing that was specifically helping or did you find it was a combination of everything?
A combination. And middle school, like when I sat my parents down, that's when I started a therapist. If looking back though, it wasn't that bad at that age. 14 when I started high school, because
Whole new school, whole new environment.
500 new other kids, half my friend group from middle school going to a different, like so many triggers of like change.
Yeah.
I hate change and like freaking out and just, going insane in my mind of, well, what if what ifs? What if that person says that? And what if I don't make friends? And what if my acne doesn't get better? And what like blah, 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 what if I can't find my locker on the like so much. And so for me, it was a mixture of having routines every day and exercising and just also having quiet time and paying attention. Are my thoughts matching my current reality? And if they're not, that means I'm on autopilot right now and my body and my mind are somewhere else. So I need to like
quiet the chatter out.
Quiet the chatter. Bring my body back down, into myself.
Were you communicating this with friends at the time when all this is happening?
No, I only told my parents and my friend group. They were amazing friends, but I really felt afraid of being judged and that they would be like, oh, well, Megan has anxiety and, that's weird. And we're not going to invite her anymore because what if she has a freak out and what does that even mean? So I kept it really closed off.
Wow. And just kept it to yourself. I'm not going to tell anybody.
Yeah.
Then I think it's at 15 you kind of have this this opportunity that kind of changes, I think, a little bit about you. This rustic pathways.
Oh, I love rustic pathways.
You go to New Orleans for 3 weeks to help rebuild houses that were destroyed by Hurricane Katrina. Before going on the trip, you have this whole am I gonna go? Is the plane gonna go down? Drawing up every possible thing that's not gonna happen, but of course your mind is triggering that. But one thing that I had heard you talk about from this experience was that gratitude can shift your attitude.
Yeah.
What was eye-opening about this experience for you? Because you're only 15 years young. You're picking up from the West Coast and you're going down to New Orleans.
I mean, I could cry thinking about it because talk about things that are just meant to happen. I was just petrified, like a dog about to get a walk, on all four, just clinging, I'm so scared. I can't do this. The plane's going to crash. I'm going to get heat stroke. I'm going to make no friends.
They're going to have no water in the plane.
They're going to have no water. Or I'm
going to dehydrate. They're going to have to land emergency landing. It's going to go down. We're done.
What if the kids hate me at the community service trip? But that trip pushed me so far outside my comfort zone. First time flying across the country by myself. Anything living with 14 other teenagers who are strangers for 3 weeks in a house in New Orleans with leaders. And it just shifted my whole perspective on why am I making myself feel bad if I deserve to feel good? Because the people that I met in New Orleans were the nicest, kindest, not even just kind, but loving, their energy. And a lot of them, still their houses were destroyed. The 9th Ward, it looked like a cemetery. There were
this is what, 2 years, 3 years after Katrina?
Oh, it was 5.
It was 5.
Hurricane Katrina happened in 2007.
Oh, and your trip was in
2012.
So you're there 5 years later and it's still
horrendous. It looked like The Walking Dead, a cemetery, awful. But the people were so nice. The most kind, and just the whole vibe of New Orleans. They're so friendly and they're all about just happiness. And they're so just the food it's all cooked with love and made with love. You can just
Southern hospitality. That's what they always say.
Oh my gosh. So that at 15, right in the midst of chronic anxiety and panic attacks and the what ifs, it was so needed and it was so meant to be, yet it was so not what I thought would bring me out of it's not like I was ever ungrateful or a bratty kid, but I had so much anxiety. But then I'm looking at these people who were basically homeless and just, they had lost loved ones and all the great stuff, pictures and birth certificates and just everything in the hurricane gone. And they were the kindest people in the world. Yeah. They would let us come into their house and we were teenagers rebuilding houses and they'd be like, come on, that New York, come on in there. Like, that Creole accent, but they were like, come on in, babies, it's gonna be amazing. And they would cook us gumbo and po' boys and jambalaya for hours, and they would just story tell, and I'm like, okay, so this is what like happiness truly is.
Yeah. So do you feel like that experience made you kind of step back and go, I'm allowing myself to get worked up and anxious over theoretical ideas where these people are dealing with the reality of they don't have anything?
Yes.
I should probably see how I can make this different.
Yes. It was that, but it was also, I mean, it just was a wake-up call of like, but like, what am I so anxious about if like I have an iPhone and my family has such a wonderful house and we're all alive and we can walk and we can breathe? But it was also just in my hometown, I had never seen people living that kind of a lifestyle where they are in such need and they need help, and they're just like, in my eyes, I was like, they must be like barely getting by, but their attitude was like, we are living life.
Yeah.
And so I was like, I was like, I don't want to leave. Their energy is so contagious and so fun. And it just was like a lot of epiphanies like happening.
So what happens when you come back? You're still 15.
Yeah.
What did the next couple of years of high school look like for you?
So that was the summer of my sophomore year, about to start junior year of high school. And I still had the fear of, what if junior year is just going to be like sophomore year and freshman year? And what if it, like, I was so in my own head where I'm like, what if everything is always going to be, I'm like, okay, Megan, I need to catch a break because like, I can't do this to myself. You can't predict what life is going to be like. And that's, if you have anxiety, for me, it was a fear of change and a fear of things changing and life being different. And so I would be like, no, but it's going to be bad and change is bad. But it's like that trip, junior and senior year were like the best years of any schooling I ever had, because I had like no anxiety and it was just like gone. And I kind of just like allowed things to happen, and I learned to not take things so personally and to get so worked up over, but that person didn't text me back and that guy doesn't like me and my prom dress doesn't fit, because I kept on coming back to the people in New Orleans. How would they feel? So I was kind of giving myself a reality check, lovingly. I wasn't like, come on, but like, I just was like, I just had this incredible trip it felt like a different planet. And now I'm back in my hometown and I get to go to home. Like, I just felt like this is luxury and I should really just be grateful. 'Cause I feel like you can't be grateful and anxious at the same time. Like, it's hard to be like, what if this, but also be like, life is so, like, I just was like, I want to choose to be grateful.
Yeah, so you were shifting from the anxiety to gratitude.
Yeah.
It's tough, too, because those years, even, I can't think of anything specific right now, but in high school and those years, we're just in our own little bubble. We are just in our city. Like, I think back to when I was growing up, like, that's all our concerns were. Didn't get the text back, didn't get invited to that birthday party. And it's all this stuff that just doesn't matter, but you don't really realize it until you get older and you go, okay, it actually, just because I go to school with all these people doesn't mean I need to be best friends with them for the rest of my life. I'm probably not going to talk to them as soon as I get out of high school, and what they have to say, it doesn't matter. Even like in college, I could see it where these people walk the campus like they were the hottest shit. I'm like, in 2 years, you're going to graduate and we're no longer on this bubble and you're going to be in the corporate world. You're going to be in the real world. Like, it's not going to work anymore.
It's everything. It's the end of the world. Oh, I didn't get invited to buy that guy to prom. Oh, it's because I'm ugly. But it's like, you don't realize high school and middle school and like just that part of your life, it's like this much. Yeah. Like 2% of your whole life and how much you're going to grow and like your soul is going to expand. And like, there's just so much. That's what I wish I really understood. But it's like, looking back, I feel like I understand more now that it's really not that big of a deal.
Yeah, and you can draw from those experiences.
Yes.
So when you're graduating high school, where do you see your life going? What inside you is telling you, like, this is what I need to do next?
So for me, I never liked academics. Like, I loved school because I could entertain other people and I could make other people laugh. And yes, I was kind of like deflecting from my anxiety because that was a coping mechanism for me. But I also like, I loved being on stage and I loved speaking because it made me forget stuff. So I did drama all 4 years of high school. Like I kind of knew what my passions were, but I also like, you know, by the time junior year comes around, I mean, it's like, are you kids ready for college? Like, are you, it's
you
like
your SATs,
your SATs, your college apps, are you prepared?
The Common App. Oh my God, burn that.
Don't.
Burn it to the ground.
Literally having a flashback. Common App. I don't want to hear that word.
Yeah, me either. Burn it to the ground. The Common App.
Oh.
What a miserable website.
No, it was so bad. Like, me and my sister, we're both such free spirits. She's a painter in Santa Barbara and
amazing
artist, and I'm just a speaker and a blog. Like, we're both very creative, free spirited people, and our parents fully accept. Like, they're just like, well, it makes sense because we both hated academics and we both got a 2.1 GPA in high school.
Wow.
So it makes sense. So towards the end of my time in high school, I was also like, had such bad anxiety because it's like, you know, you have to go to college, and I did.
So you were a good junior and senior year because you finally were comfortable, but now it's like the change is coming again. What to do now? I'm not going to have a job. I'm not going to get into college, and the anxiety stands up again. Yeah,
took the words out of my mouth. I mean, it was like, oh wait, shit. But I didn't do well academically. I got C's and D's and some B's. Like, what am I going to do? Like, it was so. I mean, it's like I'm good for 2 days. I can breathe, and it's like back and like, oh my gosh, but my application and that guy and but I was like, okay, you know, after meeting with a college counselor a few times, I was like, okay, so like realistically, I'm probably gonna go to a community college, but I still don't know what I want to do, but I know that I love speaking and performing and helping other people, and you know, I also this is like just coming off of so many years of like anxiety and therapy and just starting now to feel better. But it was, the change, the jump to college into what's life like after you move out in high school and everything. And I'm like, I can't do that. Like, it's just so much. But I really didn't have a solid plan. I don't think anyone ever does. Like, we're always evolving. You can be 60 years old and you're like, wait, I'm not happy anymore. Refresh, epiphany. I want to quit my job. There's no like timeline, age limit, but I had really no plan. I was like, I'll just go to a community college. I'll go down to LA because that seems like a cool city.
Well, this is where I'm really curious is I agree. Like, I don't know the next step. Go to community college, not a bad idea. But I would imagine there's a bunch of community college in your neck of the woods. Yeah. What's giving you the confidence to say, Mom, Dad, I'm packing up. I'm going 5 hours south to LA to Santa Monica, and I'm going to go there, you know?
It was, honestly, it was just a weird gut feeling. It really was. I was like, I could go to community college 10 minutes away from my house, but you need to
get away.
No, I knew. I'm like, I need something different. So I kind of like rolled out a map on my floor and I'm like, let's go to LA. It seems like my childhood town. It was like maybe 15,000 people, 20,000 people. So it's like average. And then I'm like, but something about LA, like, you know, just that contagious, that dreamer.
Oh, it pulled me from across the country. Yeah. I get it. From Massachusetts, I was like, pull me in.
No, it's just that Hollywood, like your dreams and people it seems so just like dreamy. And I'm like, okay, I'm going to go there.
Yes.
And I'll just see what happens. And then I did 1 year of community college. Like, it was just the most unpredictable story. But I
love that. I'm going to Hollywood. I'm just going to make it happen.
Yeah.
What was, now during your freshman year, there was like some type of health scare or something that had happened. You ended up seeing medical medium Anthony Williams. I tried to deep dive a little bit into more of his story and kind of get to see what his background was, but he gives you like this proper diagnosis. What ends up being some of the symptoms that you're having, and what is the diagnosis for what you were going through?
So it really was this crazy time in my life where I was at Santa Monica City College and
SMC for ladies and gentlemen that
I
almost came out here because I was like, maybe I'll go to Santa Monica. I'll just move across the country. It didn't actually happen, but I still made it to LA. Anyway.
Heck yeah. That's all that matters.
That's all that matters.
So I was at SMC, and I mean, I was miserable. Like I was just like, okay.
From day one.
Day one. I just was like, I was like, is this what college is like? Like it wasn't, obviously it was a community college, but there wasn't like the tailgate, school spirit, like frat party, like in the music video. I mean, it's just like the movies.
Yeah.
You're just
people
like.
People go to class and then they leave.
I know. People.
But I'm guessing, right? Like, was that more of like what it was like people, it's not necessarily like a community like you'd find at a big time university. It's more of just, we're there to take our class and then we're leaving.
Polar opposite of like, like the schools in the South where it's like Greek system and frat parties and all that stuff. But it was like, you go to school, you go to class, and you literally leave. It was very different from what I ever thought. But I didn't really feel stressed because I'm just like, well, I didn't get the good grades, so I'm here. Like, I'll just make the best out of it. And I wanted to prove to myself that, okay, my anxiety is done. I'm an adult and I've gained a lot of tips and tools from therapists. I know how to handle it. So this is my time to get the good grades, to prove to myself that I can be academically smart in my life. And I can sit down and take a math test without thinking about anything else. Because in high school, I mean, it was like, oh my gosh, the wall, just off the walls. And it, like, once again, I mean, talk about like things happening for a reason. 8-9 months into my freshman year, I started getting a lot of colds and like just sick and sore throats. And I'm like, okay, annoying, whatever. And then I started getting just a lot of really random symptoms. Like my lower back would hurt and my throat would hurt. And then my like pelvic area would hurt. And I'm like, just the list of things that I WebMD'd.
Oh yeah.
CVS Minute Clinic, like everything that you can think of. I took such weird and it was just still this mystery diagnosis, but I was, trying to get good grades to transfer to like LMU, Loyola Marymount University, or UCLA or USC, just for me to have that experience. Because at that time in my life, it's what I wanted. And I'm like, I'm going to work really hard. It's going to be great. I'm going to put in the effort. And then I was like, this is so unfair because I'm trying to do what's going to make me happy and what's best for me. And I want my parents to be happy, even though they're always supportive. But it's like I kept on getting sick and I like started missing class and I couldn't even sit in class because this pain, it was like sharp. I'm like, am I having an appendicitis? Like, am I having a stroke once again? Or is this just anxiety? And
domino effects down to the what ifs.
It's so hard if you have chronic overthinking because it's like you're just a hypochondriac.
Yeah,
So just like WebMD. Oh, I have cancer.
You're now the person that's gonna like diagnose it.
It was so bad, and it was just a really hard time in my life, a lot of confusion and stress, and I don't know what's going on. I'm only 19, and like what's happening right now, but so after, I would say 7 months of basically, I was fully flunked out of community college at that point because I hadn't gone. I'm just like, I feel like I should focus on my health because something could be really wrong. And went to the ER hundreds of times, MRIs, CAT scans, blood work, ultrasounds, x-rays, like the things that I had never done because I grew up really healthy and I thankfully had never had any health issues ever. So it's like you have to take a urine test and then you're going to go on these antibiotics and then you come back next week. And it was honestly the scariest, most like Twilight Zone time of my life because I'm like, this is like when you have your health taken away or just you can't figure out what's wrong with you, you really realize like your health is literally everything. And it was the scariest, like to imagine that my life is now, it could revolve around pills and hospital trips. And I was like, holy shit, I am 19 years old. Like I was sobbing for hours because I'm like, this is it. I have a mystery like chronic illness and I'm never going to get to the root of it. And like, I'm 19. Like, what the hell is going on? And so thankfully my mom, she's just like an angel. She is really, once again, into spirituality and psychics and mediums, and she had been reading a lot about this guy named Anthony Williams, who is really, really big right now. He's a medical intuitive, like a medical medium, and he has the ability, I believe, because I had a session with him and it made me feel better, but he has the ability to scan people's bodies, like just like this. I could be like, okay, so it kind of looks like, he kind of talks like this. He's like, so kind of in your kidney, I'm feeling this. And do you eat dairy? Because you should stay away from dairy. And then do you take a nettle leaf? And then, okay, thyroid, like,
whoa.
Yeah, it's the craziest experience. And like my mom's like reading books about him and she's like, I don't know why, but I really feel like you need to see him. Like, you've done 6 months of 18 different antibiotics and you're breaking out in hives and you're not happy. Like something just needs to change, but you're going to be fine. I called her like 400 times a day because I'm like, I had, it was just like a freaking hard time. I had like 2 friends and you're in a whole new city and you're straight out of high school. You're just like, what?
5 hours away from home.
Yeah, 5 hours away from home. You're going to the ER twice a week and you're just like sobbing by yourself in the ER because you're like, are my kidneys dying? Like, it's just, they were like, the doctors would be like, 1 week, okay, so we think you have endometriosis. The next week, you could have diabetes, but we'll double check for your kidneys are failing or appendicitis. I'm like, help!
Oh my God.
This is so bad and scary, but my parents were like, it's just, they were like these anchors. They were like,
you got this. You're going to be fine.
Yes, it's okay. It's okay. It's okay. Like, just keep positive. And so, I mean, once again, things are meant to happen for a reason. My mom had been reading, he has books where he talks about his gifts and he talks about, he believes in eating really clean and, no alcohol, no caffeine. And he believes that the foods that we eat and what we drink really impact our health, and that, simple things that can get misdiagnosed in the hospitals, like any autoimmune disease or lupus or Lyme disease or thyroid conditions where doctors are like Western medicine, where they're like, take these pills, you'll be fine. And then people have more side effects, and like his whole world is just fascinating. And that opened my eyes so much. But so fast forward 2 months, and once again, it's like, I feel like I'm like getting hit back down. It's like, okay, well, another doctor trip. Well, what's really wrong with me this time? Oh, well, you could have. We'll take it. I'm like, okay. Because in every test, everything was showing up. You're fine. Every X-ray, MRI, CAT scan, blood test, there's nothing wrong with you. So then I was like, okay, well, am I making this up? Like, what's happening? What's going on? But so my mom called in to the radio station where he worked. It was Hay House Radio. And he was doing, at the same time that I needed, help and just to be cured by someone, he was doing a free giveaway, like a raffle prize for if you submitted your name out of, 1,000 people, if you got selected in your story and you need him to help you, he'll give you a 2 free minute session.
Wait, a 2 free...
A free 2 minute session.
2 minutes?
Yeah, 2 minutes.
Whoa.
Yeah.
His time is that like...
No, he's like, he's talking to spirit. That's for people who believe that, but he's like literally communicating to spirit. Just like, okay, so yeah. So your kidney, okay, so you have a little blockage in here and you kind of have a kidney stone that could be like, it's like an auction. You're like, like, so my mom was like, wait, this could be huge. And immediately, I will never forget, I was sitting in my creepy old apartment that looked like a basement, just how it is when you're young in LA.
Trying to get by.
You can't judge yourself because you're just trying to make it happen. But I, it's just so gross, smelled like mold, mildew. And then I remember she was like, hey, I'm going to put in my name to get chosen for a free reading. And if we get picked, I want you to do it, okay? And I remember something... I'm not kidding, like, because this is after, I would cry going to sleep and I would pray. I was like, I don't know what to do. I need help. And I was like, I would talk to something as if it was there. And like, I could like, it's just so sad, but it was like,
No, it's not sad. It's truthful.
Yeah. I just was like, this is such a hard time in my life. And I don't know what's wrong. And I just would like pray and like ask, just like, I'm not really religious, but I'm just like,
you just speak it out there.
Speak it. I'm like,
Yeah.
Then I started just becoming fascinated with like miracles and near-death experiences and people surviving stuff. But so once she said that, I all of a sudden felt like this huge wave of hope. I don't know how to explain it, but it gives me goosebumps. But I literally just felt, I knew in my gut feeling, I'm like, I'm going to be okay. I knew it. The moment she said his name, she's like, I'm going to put it in. I was like, oh my gosh, I don't know why, but this feels really good. And I feel like it's going to be okay. And at this point, my body's covered in hives, like that big, disgust, like flunking out of community college, 19, this is after like not being bedridden, but just having no energy. Just my life was CVS, Minute Clinic, getting x-rays, MRIs, CAT scans. What are my passions? Crying. What, like, just so really toxic in a bad place. But so she put in her name, and then 2 days later, she got an email that she had gotten picked.
Wow.
I know.
Wow.
I know. And still, I remember exactly, like, I literally felt like I'm like, God, Jesus, universe, whatever, thank you.
Yeah.
Because that was exactly what I needed. Because I was like, I really feel like my life is over, and I'm 19, and I've always been so kind and nice to, like, I just was like, this isn't fair.
Yeah.
And I was so frustrated and angry, and a lot of but it also, though, it was a blessing because I had so much time to just be with myself and to really evaluate, am I happy though right now in my life? Like, could this health scare be happening for a reason? Because I'm also miserable in community college. Like, something must be kind of like happening for a reason. So I had my session with him.
2 minutes.
2 minutes.
The quickest 120 seconds of your life, I bet, right? Oh my.
Yeah, it was over.
Hi, nice to meet you. Have a good day. See you.
I know, it was actually over Skype because he was in New York, but he nicest guy ever. It's just super normal looking, like nothing crazy, and he just was like, okay. And he only knew my name, my first name, Megan, and I just was sitting on my couch in my apartment in a sweater and just Skype, and he's like, okay. And my mom was on speakerphone. He's like, okay, so okay, so I'm feeling like, and he just started
walking through whatever.
It just started coming out, and I just was like, whoa. And so he was basically like, you have the strep virus, and it's in your colon. Like, some people when they're younger, they get viruses like mono or shingles or a virus, not like a cold or like a runny nose, but like a virus, and it can, stay in your body, and then something can flare it up, whether that's you're eating dairy. I mean, there's so much that goes into it, but basically he's like, yeah, you have the strep virus that's in your colon. You need to change your eating habits, blah, 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 blah. For the next 8 months, you need to go vegan, no alcohol, no gluten, no dairy, no caffeine, no nothing. But also he's like, spirit is telling me that, you're not happy right now, and your body, you're at like a crossroads. He's like, imagine like, someone is happy in their life, and you're in your lane of life, and it's smooth and it's just flowing because you're doing what you're supposed to do, and things are just happening, but you're like drifting off on the road, those little side bumps. If you fall asleep.
Yep.
He's like, imagine you're doing that. You're like, why am I not happy though? But nothing's because he's like, you're going against. You're trying to push for something that's not meant to happen.
And this is the same time you were in college. You're like, you're flunking out.
And I was not happy though. That's the thing I couldn't shake. I'm like, it's not about academic. It's like my soul is unhappy, and I can't shake that feeling. And I just, so that whole health scare.
Sounded like it happened for a reason, almost.
That's what I believe, yeah. It was the craziest experience of my life, but also the medical medium, Anthony, he opened my eyes to like, because everything he told me, I did. I went vegan, and I took all the all the herbal drops and the liquid, like it was all vegan, very holistic, herbal, vitamin, natural supplements and drops and pills. I did that for 10 months, and I never felt better.
Wow. So just completely eliminating things that shouldn't be in your body, and just putting things that need to actually like be there for the right reasons.
Yeah.
Yeah, I believe in that. I totally believe in like just what you change of what you put into your body is going to change the way you think, the way you feel, the energy you wake up every morning.
Yeah.
Like feeding yourself the right things could literally change your mentality and everything about you.
Oh, it does. Same with your thoughts.
Yeah.
Everything affects your mood and how you currently are. Like, what are you currently thinking? Where are you? Who are you around?
Yeah.
What are you eating?
Yeah.
That will affect your mood.
So you go 8 months or 10 months, you're feeling better now. You're out of school. So you're still in LA at the time.
Yes.
Where do you now? What's telling you what I need to do next?
So that was so I had the session with him, and then for about 5 months I was like pure in recovery mode because I'm like, my body needs to heal. And then also during that time before I had a session with him, I still have it to this day. I actually have it framed, but I had made on a little notebook scrap paper, I had made a bucket list because at the time I thought I was going to be chronically sick and just my life was going to be different because it was going to be hospital trips and pills and what's wrong with me forever. So I made a bucket list of things that I wished I had done when I was healthier. Because I'm like, okay, I mean, towards the beginning of my illness and just journey with that, I was like, well, 2 weeks ago I was feeling amazing. Like, what can happen over 2 weeks? Like, this is so sad, but it's so scary.
Yeah.
Because your health, I mean, you just have to be grateful. So I made a list of like, if nothing mattered, no amount of money, no nothing. Okay, I've always wanted to do acting classes in LA. Like, we're here, like the best of the best. Like, acting classes, I want to make a YouTube channel. If I loved myself and had no like, oh, but I don't have that, and I'm not that girl, and I don't look like her. If I had none of that self-talk, what would I do? And I literally just wrote like hundreds of things. I'm like, I would go to YMCAs and share my story with kids there. I would like anything once I flipped the switch of, but I love myself, and it's not about my weight or my acne or what kind of money I have or how many like what would I just do right now that makes me feel passionate? And the list was huge. So right when I started feeling better, I just dove into that list.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Whoa. Now this is getting juicy.
I know.
This is getting juicy.
I know. It's a very like timeline, but it feels like it happened in a day, the whole experience.
I feel like that's always with things in life when you're in the trenches of like going through some shit.
Yeah.
You feel like time is so slow, but then when you look back on it, you're like, that happened. Like it feels like it happened in a day.
Yes.
But in reality, it took, I'm sure there were those weeks and months of just consistent like down in the depths and not feeling good. But the Boys and Girls Club thing, what was like the inspiration to wanting to go to the Boys and Girls Club, to the YMCA? You started doing this free, just going and speaking.
Yeah.
What did you want people to take away? What the kids that you're speaking to, what was the like true inspiration for starting that?
I just wanted to help other people because I feel like I had gained so many tips and tools and wisdom from my experiences with years of anxiety and panic attacks and seeing a therapist and having also body image issues and low self-esteem, comparing myself to other girls and just constantly feeling like I'm not good enough and I'm not pretty enough and XYZ. And that's why that's how, and like all this stuff. But I just was like, I want to help people. I love speaking and I love storytelling. And I kind of at that like time in my life, I was like, I kind of feel like I was put on earth to just help people through speaking and blogging and writing and just kind of just sharing my hardships, but also giving advice. So but it's weird because it came so naturally. Like I didn't have to sit for 5 hours and be like, okay, well, but what do I want to do? Like, I don't know. And it just hits like that, making that bucket list. It just was like, I was like channeling.
Wow.
It came so quick. I'm like, but I want to do that. And then all of it was helping people and spreading positivity and just anything speaking or storytelling or writing. Like, yeah.
And were you nervous at first when you did those first the Boys and Girls Club or the YMCA? Were you nervous?
Oh my gosh. I was shaking and sweating out of every like pore in my body. And I was petrified. I had like, it was just so janky too. 'Cause I'm just like, I just was like, I want to do this, so I just start. I'm not going to waste more time because I have my health back, and that was like the biggest motivation.
Yeah.
I just dove headfirst. I'm like, whatever I can do to feed this like passion. I felt like it was something in me, and I'm like, if that's speaking for free at YMCAs and Boys and Girls Clubs and Toastmaster meetings and Rotary clubs, let's freaking go. I have to do what makes me happy. Like, I don't care if it makes sense to other people or if I'm making money right now, because like I'm okay.
Yeah.
And it's going to be fine.
So would you go in there kind of telling your story, or would you go there just trying to talk about certain subjects, or would you take Q&A? Like, what was the kind of the talking points when you'd go into the Boys and Girls Club or the YMCA?
Yeah. So I just would share my story. The very beginning, like I made business cards, and the first day I got them, because I didn't know what to do, but I just knew what I wanted to do.
And the key thing is what you said is you just knew you needed to start and kind of figure it out as you went.
Yes. I knew I just needed to start because I didn't want to wait any longer, because I'm like, okay, I had just turned, I was 5 months away from turning 21. So I'm like, you know what? I'm still really young, so I'm just going to fly head first, person out of a cannonball to my passions. And I made business cards that said mentoring with Megan, and it was like cheesy online, and I didn't know what to do, but I would just, walk around for hours every day to Whole Foods, put them up on a community board by the bathrooms.
Wow.
I'm not kidding, like any bulletin board place where I could get my name out there, I just would go. I'm like, okay, motivational talks with Megan. Hi, nice to meet you. And my parents would give me tips about networking.
Oh,
yeah. So, like, it was janky, and it was like not sketchy at times, but it was just, me walking into places kind of like, hi, this is a yoga studio. It's a Whole Foods. It's a PTA meeting, but I just like didn't give up. I was just like, there's got to be a way. I'm going to poke around and see if someone knows someone. But at the YMCAs and Boys and Girls Club, it was me sharing my story as a teenager with anxiety and negative thinking and body image issues, and how I overcame it all and just turned it into something positive, and how when I started loving myself more and really realizing what's an anxious, negative thought that's repetitive versus what's a productive, happy thought that's actually going to like help me and what's going to serve me, that changed my life. So that's what I would share that story with teenagers and kids. And it just was like the most heartwarming story, because some kids, like after I would talk, I'd be like, okay, thank you. Like, does anyone have any questions? And I would have my paper and have a whiteboard and stuff. And sometimes there would be 3 kids and sometimes there would be 20. I just was like, I just want to share. I have to. Like, it was just this urgency. I'm like, I have to share my story. I have to do it now or else I don't know.
Even if there's one person, you're like, I'll tell you whatever you want to know.
And I think that's how you know what when you're passionate about something.
When nobody's paying attention, you still want to do it.
Yeah. That's exactly what it is. It's not about the money or the followers or the likes but what if my uncle or any, it's just like, if one person is listening, that's all that matters, because you just kind of feel like you're channeling your higher self, and you just feel like it's like you're just dead right. You're like, this is what I'm supposed to do. Yeah. It's like this unshakable feeling.
Yeah. And I mean, you've kept going with it too. Like, you've spoken at middle schools, you've spoken at high schools, and then to the point, like we were talking about earlier with like a TED Talk. Like, that's a huge, huge thing to accomplish. And I love that you had literally spent 2 years applying for it. Yeah. What keeps you showing up to keep applying for it, even when you're getting shot down and the opportunity's not happening? The one you had did, it was called Anxiety, the new teen epidemic. But what's getting you to keep applying when you're just getting shot down, or you're not getting responses, or what's keeping you staying consistent with wanting to do the TED Talk?
It's just because I know it's what I was put on earth to do.
Speak.
Yeah.
Or share your story.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It really is. Growing up, I was, I just feel like people like my role models, like Oprah Winfrey and Tony Robbins and like Ashley, all these incredible people in the world, they've all been through really traumatic things in their life, and the greats of the greats.
Mm-hmm.
And I really feel like people go through certain things and they're put through them so they can come out on the other side and share and help with the world and like heal people through their words and their advice. And I really feel like from ages 3 to 17, I struggled really badly, and I never once bullied someone else while I was going through it, and I never once made someone else feel bad, and I never took it out on anyone. But I'm like, I want to share my advice with the world. And the thing that keeps me just up and going is like just, posting videos on my YouTube channel, speaking at middle schools and high schools, 2 years to get a TED Talk, just, posting on all the social media platforms and speaking anywhere I can. It's just because it's like, it's my life. It's my full-on passion. And I just know through readings and what people have said to me, like psychics and mediums, and just my own gut feeling, it's like, I know I was put on earth to help people. Like I feel it in my bones. And looking back my whole life, it just makes sense, because even at 13, I was like the advice giver of my friend group. People would be like, Megan, this guy's not texting me back. And I'm like, sit down, child, sit down. I always was wanting to help other people. And I struggled also a lot with people pleasing growing up, because I was such a giving, nurturing person.
You would take care of other people before yourself.
Oh, I was like, do you want a ride? Do you want money? Do you want food? Do you want a snack? Do you want to come over to my house? Like, I want to make you feel loved and feel happy, and we can like dance around my room. But it was like, I really had to learn too, there's a fine line with people pleasing and just, but yeah, I know I was put on earth to help people.
Yeah. How did you prep for that TED Talk?
Well,
because you get the opportunity, right? 2 years now, it's like, wait, now I actually have the opportunity. I feel like there's got to be a lot of anxiety and trying to think about what am I going to talk about? There's a million different things I could talk about,
So what's funny about that is too, I mean, I feel like the whole theme of this conversation is things happen for a reason, but looking back, because that was in March of this year, so not too long ago, but I was like, I don't think I really would have been fully ready if it had been any sooner. Even though, like, straight up, there were phone calls to my parents crying, and it was a really hard time of, like, to keep on applying and to keep on having that resilience attitude of, like, get back up, come on, you can do it, you can do it, you can do it, just push through. It was not easy. It was a lot of days crying and just being upset and being like, really? I deserve the why me stuff, but it's just throughout those 2 years, I still was speaking at 6 schools per month. So it was a lot of practice.
Wow.
A lot of practice and getting used to, like, maybe I'm in a smaller intimate group with 10 students, or maybe I'm in front of 100 students at an assembly, getting used to the audiences and perfecting through also doing Toastmaster classes where they literally grade you on, do you pick your nails? Do you say or ah, or do you touch your hair when you...
So that's what that's for. Strictly for public speaking.
Yeah, strictly for public speaking, and people judge you like a competition where, what is your body language? Do you look? Do you make eye contact? Do you pause? Or are you like, so today they write down how many times you say like, kinda, or so, yeah.
I hope they have extra room for me, because they would be checking off every single box.
It's so bad, because the first time I went, I said 54 likes in 3 minutes. So just to give you, like, because when you're growing up, no one really is like, you just said like, but continue.
Yep.
Yeah,
I get it. Yeah, I get it. I say it too often.
But
you weren't ready for it, and I think that's a huge thing. Is like, sometimes we want things, but realizing the perspective of, if I don't get it now, it gives me more time to work on my craft. That way, you kept speaking more schools so that by the time the opportunity came, you were ready for it because you had been speaking at 6+ schools a month.
Yes. And I remember it. I was at my office at WeWork, and I was just reading emails, and like, also, I mean, I wanted a TEDx talk, but I didn't know how to get it. So like, and I think that this has also just taught me a lot, is with everything that I've ever done, I had to teach myself. I had to teach myself how to make a website, how to build a social media following, how to post at certain times, how to network and make business cards and go in and show up and be on time and like deliver a bomb ass talk, and how to like make copies of my books and how to write a book and how to self-publish on Amazon. Like everything I had to teach myself, but it was such a great process because I got to know myself so much. But so I was reading emails one day on February 13th, the day before Valentine's Day. And I was like, okay, trying to hear back from the co-organizers, whom I reached out to on Twitter and Facebook. Cause I would look up all the TEDx's of 2019 where they were, and I would apply to every single one.
Whoa.
New Mexico, New York, Albuquerque, let's go to Montana, let's go to Nebraska. You
didn't care anywhere the TED was going to be.
I'm like, I'm going to get it. So do I want to speak at Russia? Sure. Let's go to Russia. I was like, I'll go anywhere.
Oh my God.
And I just like, that's the whole theme of like this journey of my life, is I just kept going. And I was like, come on. There's like, it's just, come on, like, let's keep on going. You got to be persistent. And then the TEDx talk it was a youth. So it was a TEDx youth, and it was at Colton High School, kind of near like Rancho Cucamonga, Ontario.
East of LA.
So I reached out to the co-organizer on Facebook. I messaged him, and this was, I was just going through my emails, and this is after 2 years of, no, thank you, Megan, it's okay, but you actually missed the deadline submission time, or no, it's okay, your talk doesn't really fit with our theme, or like anything, but it was all just no. And I was like, okay. Kind of just, you just get used to it, or you just kind of get down on yourself. But I kept on applying, and this guy messaged me back, and this time it's like that like that joyous feeling of like when you're looking through your emails and it's not just like 2 sentences, it's like a whole essay. You're like, something's good. Did I just strike gold? Like, so I clicked on his email, and it was just like it was like getting into college or something, where you're just like, yes.
Before you even start reading it, you got what you needed.
Because it was really long, and I could tell, and it was just like, dear Megan, yes, I'm like, oh my God. So he did like, yes, we would absolutely love to have you talk at our TEDx conference, and it's actually in 2 weeks. So our speakers, there's 12 speakers. You'll be, one person had to pull out because they have mono.
Whoa.
And so you're going to be filling in for them. It's funny because I wanted it for so long, and then it happened so quickly, and it was just, I feel like the universe was just like, here, you want it? You got 2 weeks to prepare.
Yeah.
Are you ready, Megan?
And I feel like that's better than like you have 2 months, because now you're just thinking about it for 2 months, getting worked up.
That's what I think. Yeah. I think I would have gotten more anxious, like, twiddling my thumb.
Too much time to think about it.
I know. So the guy's like, if you want it, it's yours, but you do have 2 weeks. The other speakers, the other 11 of them have been working on it for 5 months, their talk. So I'm like, I thought about it for, I'm not kidding, 10 seconds. And I just was like, all capitals, like, yes, exclamation. Like, I'm like, are you freaking, this is 2 years of like looking for a mirage in the distance. Like,
you're taking it.
Yeah.
You're not gonna hold back on that.
No.
Yeah, I love that persistence of just keep applying, whether it's Russia, Montana, New Jersey, like wherever you guys want to host it, you want me there, I will for sure.
My mind was like, vacation. Yeah. Let's go to Moscow. Vacation. I'll go to South America. Vacation. My parents will come. We'll go first time. Like, I just had that attitude of like, whatever, it's gonna be amazing.
And what are the odds that the one that you get reached out to is driving distance from here? You know what I mean? Like, it wasn't the Russia one or the one that was too far away. It was actually reasonable where you could actually drive there.
Yeah.
That is incredible. The books, though, that's super interesting to me. Like, you've written 3 books, you've published, clearly, like you just said, you've done all the back end yourself. The 3 of the books that I came across, and maybe there's more, I could be wrong, but it was Why Don't I Look Like Her? Everything is Happening for You, Not to You. and you can choose. What do you love most about writing versus the speaking? Because those are two completely different mediums.
Well, anything where I can just write down my thoughts and just express my feelings and my story with like the why don't I look like her, that's all about my comparing myself to other girls when I was growing up and the body image and never feeling pretty enough or good enough, and like how it really felt to be a 13-year-old girl of like constantly like, oh well that girl, oh well that, no, okay, like that mindset. But I don't know, anything just expressing, I'm obsessed with it. Like speaking is probably number one for me because I get to be on stage and see people in person, and I live for that. But blogging and writing and making YouTube videos and webinars and courses for people on how to better their lives, it's all I could ask for.
I think I've been personally trying to get more into writing the last 6 months, but I'm definitely a speaker as well. That's why when I was starting a podcast, I knew it had to be a podcast because I'm a people's person, and you don't have as much time to overthink because you're just spitting out what is naturally at the tip of your tongue. Whereas the writing, for a long time, I would overthink. I'd write a paragraph, that doesn't work. Write a paragraph, that doesn't work. And then I just started to say, I'm not going to overthink this process anymore. I'm just going to kind of talk out loud as I write. And so that became the shift for me of like, don't overthink it. Just run with what you have to say. But what's super interesting and important is that you're able to express on different mediums, whether it's podcasting, a YouTube channel with visuals, speaking in person, writing. It's like you're not allowing anybody to put you in a box and say, oh, she's just a speaker, she's just the writer. No, she's somebody that can voice her opinion to the world. And it just depends on what medium do you want to. You want a blog? Here's a blog. You want a book? Here's a book. Do you want me to come speak to you? I'll come do that. But to have the confidence to do all those and to like just put yourself out there, it takes a lot. It takes a lot of energy, and it's just a hustle. Like it shows how much you actually care about sharing your voice because you recognize like I want to do all these different things, and I don't know how to write a book, so I'm gonna Google it and get it on Amazon. And I don't know how to do any of this other stuff, but I'll find a way to make it work.
Yeah, and the journey, I mean, it's had its fair share of ups and downs, just like anyone, but I will say the journey of starting like from ages 20 to now 23 of just, and it's crazy to look back because I'm like, well, 3 years isn't that long of a time. But
when you're in it, it feels,
oh my gosh, it felt like I was pregnant for 3 years. I'm like, let's go. Like,
keep pushing.
Yeah, keep rowing. But I can't explain it because I think everyone has their own journey of following and pursuing their dreams and getting to where they aspire to be. But it taught me more than any amount of schooling, any amount of other people telling, like doing it myself and hands-on, being, you know, my business is like my baby and I represent it. And so just having all of that, it's been the most gratifying and rewarding feeling. Yeah.
And I think it's different because in school, a lot of times we are being forced to learn things that we don't really care to learn. Whereas when you're passionate about something, you don't mind doing the research because you know this is something that you care to learn about. With everything we've talked about today, where do you see like this Megan Gallagher brand going? Like what else is on that bucket list of like things that you want to do for yourself, whether it's like your brand or a pot, like where do you like what's jumping to mind? Like speak it into existence. What's next that you want to see happen?
I see Tony Robbins and like Rachel Hollis. Like it's really what I want for myself.
What do you mean by that? Go like you want to
just be at that level of like speaking and like selling out Madison Square Garden and like just being in front of that many people. Like it's my passion. I literally, if you were to spend a day with me, like I dance down every grocery store aisle, like I'm doing flips. I'm just like, I love just like being goofy and dancing and moving my body and performing and like, just, that's just my vibe and being a role model and positive influence for people. So yeah, I mean like Rachel Hollis and Tony Robbins and just helping people and having like going on tour and speaking at arenas and auditoriums and like concert places and just having a brand and like clothing brand and positive stuff and just like a lifestyle, blogging, writing books and being on TV and but still keeping it about helping people, specifically 13 to 18-year-olds who, you know, just sharing my story with anxiety and low self-esteem and body image issues and what specific steps, because I want to just really give it to them. Like I want to, because it's like, you know, you don't know what people are going through. And these kids and teenagers, I don't know what their life is like at home. I mean, they could have literally no one looking out for them or no support system. So I'm like, whatever I can give to you. And I like, for me, I was the teenager where I'm like, in my head, I'm like, I wish someone would just come up to me and tell me exactly what I need, but I was too afraid to ask for it. Yeah. So I want to be that person that goes into schools and is like, I'm here for you and I'm going to tell you what helped me when I was your age. Because I know someone in that audience is sitting there like literally struggling. Yeah. Or they come from a bad home or they don't like themselves. So I'm like, I want to be that person that comes in and is just kind of like a beacon of hope or something.
I know in the past you've done some mentorship for, I think it was LA team mentoring or something.
Yes, exactly.
So how are you getting these kids to be comfortable to open up enough with you? Like I agree, there's definitely going to be somebody in the crowd that will, no, everything's fine. How do you get them to open up to you?
I would say it takes time and patience and also just not coming at it from an angle where you're like, so like, you know, kind of creepy therapist, because kids, I feel like, retract. And I feel like it also helps that I'm pretty young and there's like not, you know, I'm not like an 85-year-old person coming in who's like, whoo, like just really, really old. And
warm them up.
Yeah, there's such a generational gap, but I'm young. I feel like I have a fun personality and a fun vibe, and it's like, I get it and I've lived through it and I've walked the walk, and I genuinely want to help people. There's no ulterior, like it's just like, I straight up just want to help people. So, it takes time, and you have to realize that, you know, they're also teenagers. Like we were all teenagers, and it's like, you kind of just like, for me, I just was like in one ear, out the other ear. Yeah. But it's still my passion though. Like sometimes when I go and speak, the kids are just like one eye is just here and they're sitting in the audience like, what is this girl? And I'm just Oprah. I'm like, you get a car, you get a car. Like just go like, because that's my zone. I'm like, I'm blacking out. I don't remember it, but it's like, for me, I think that I'm like channeling my higher self because I don't remember it, but words are coming out of my mouth and I'm like, but it just,
and that's how you know you're doing the right thing, when it does become that blackout and you're just like, you don't care how the crowd reacts. You're just like, you get a car. You're just like, that's what you need. That's what you need to have for that type of world that you're going into. I had one fan submit a question, and their Instagram didn't have their actual name. This is at mycloud9. So shout out to mycloud9. But this person asked, what is ultimate happiness to you, and how do you get it and maintain it?
Wow. Well, I think ultimate happiness, it can only come from you. Like it can only come from yourself. And I think when people get in the habit of chasing, oh my gosh, you know, the latest, greatest, the car, the whatever external, but I think the best kind of happiness, it starts and begins with you and you feeling like, you know, maybe like meditating for an hour every day and kind of looking at yourself in the mirror and being like, I am enough. And like those affirmations, feeding yourself that positivity. But I don't think it's about anyone else, because I think you have to fill up your cup and then you can give to other people. But happiness to me is passion and finding your passions and being kind to other people. But I think happiness is also like a mindset. Yeah. It's self-care. It's doing things that make you feel good. It's not giving up. It's as Tony Robbins does, it's like changing your state. If you feel like halfway throughout the day, you're kind of just like, I'm in a weird mood because that person said that, or I'm sitting in traffic, turn on some music and like, pump yourself up again. Like that, you can do that so quickly within seconds. So I think happiness, it starts with you, and it can be a journey. Like for me, it was a journey. I didn't love myself as a teenager, and I really didn't like my body, but it's like I just learned, and I just took the time every day to make time for myself.
There's a past guest I had on the show by the name of Charlie Rocket. He was episode 111, and one thing very similar to what you're saying about the mindset is he lives by this idea of I'm on a winning streak. So I got a cup of coffee, I'm on a winning streak. I had lunch with a friend, I'm on a winning streak. I woke up this morning, I'm on a winning streak. So it's like it's exactly that, like convincing the mindset of like I should be happy. If there's a little speed bump earlier, boom, it's in the past. Right. Mindset, I'm in the present, got the next thing.
You just have to jump back.
You just have to constantly keep shifting that mind.
Yes.
The mental health, though, that's a big one. What can be done to prevent, I think it's, more specifically, you are focused on teens, but I think you could answer this question, and generally speaking, what can be done to help prevent mental health issues of people today?
I think one is taking care of yourself in any way that you can. I think two, it's being in touch with your body and being in touch with your emotions and your feelings, and like staying present in the moment and doing that kind of body scan, that checking in of how am I currently feeling? Am I happy? Am I angry? And, did that person say that? Or did something trigger me of just... Because I think people can kind of go on autopilot and they're just doing the actions every day, same thing, the job, the come home, the go to sleep. But it's like you have to take the time to really check in with yourself of how am I feeling? Because things happen, life changes. And for me, I feel my best when I'm doing my routines, my morning and nighttime, and I'm taking the time to exercise in the morning, and I'm like journaling my thoughts, and I'm eating healthy, and I'm, I don't drink alcohol or caffeine.
No caffeine at all.
No, it triggers me.
Good for you.
I could have a sip and I'm like,
oh yeah, like, now it makes sense. You don't need it. You have espresso running through the veins. So yeah. I get it. I get it.
It's scary. I get like, I just don't even, I get like, just weird, but, just checking in with yourself and not being the person who like, yes, it's fun to like, be on the go and be busy and, following your passions and like, I'm hanging out with this person. But also having alone time and making a date with yourself of, okay, like let's decompress and what am I feeling? But also, having routines like at 8 p.m. every single night, I turn off everything. Computer, phone, tablet, everything is off, and I like turn off my lights and have a little lamp because it's like it's good when you're trying to go to sleep to not have bright lights and to just kind of create that calm zen mode. And I read a book and I stretch and I I decompress, and I will just do anything. Sometimes I journal, sometimes I write just like poetry of how I'm feeling or just anything to get it out and have a creative outlet. But I'm all about the routines because I realize like my mind, yes, I don't currently have panic attacks anymore, but my mind is naturally wired to, because it runs in my family, to start overthinking and to start assuming. So it's like a dog on a leash. I have to keep it back or else it will just run for hours. And then it's like 5 p.m. and I'm like, what the heck? Yeah. Like it's just, so I have to like, keep it grounded.
But I think the routines are what help that because you're just, where you're supposed to be at a certain time of day. And it's almost like mentally preparing you for the day and then mentally decompressing you after a busy day. Like,
oh my gosh,
check in with yourself, block out the cell phones, like just shutting it all down. How can people gain confidence in themselves to be authentically themselves?
Wow. I think doing what you love and getting to know yourself. And I think that can be through therapy, or meditation or journaling. Like this journal, for example, I really recommend it because it's not my own, but my therapist in middle school gave this to me. This was when I came to the conclusion, and she helped me pinpoint what my fears were and what was triggering it. And it was my fear of change and, you know, the transition from elementary school to middle school and middle school to high school and just the changes that come with it. This journal, though, it helped me. It's like a funnel. It's like you have your general anxious thoughts, but then you funnel it down to exactly what's the root of the issue.
Reverse engineer almost.
Yeah, exactly. So this journal, it's called Mind Over Mood. Change how you feel by changing the way you think. And it's all about your thoughts are creating your emotions. And if you have a constant pit in your stomach, or you constantly feel anxious, like you want to get out of your own skin, well, then check in with your thoughts.
Yeah.
It's really interesting.
I think that's where the meditation has completely changed my life, where like I feel that coming, and so I stop.
Yes.
And I just close my eyes, and for 5 minutes I just shut it down, and I just breathe. And whenever I feel anxious or I feel like I'm about to get overwhelmed with a podcast or something, like, you know, I'll go head down for 5 or 6 hours because I love creating. And then I pick up my head and I'm just like, what just happened? Like, I just did like 5-6 hours of work, but like I haven't even like really took a moment to just like breathe and like whatever. So it's like I'll stop and I'll just like breathe and I'll just meditate, and I'll get in tune with my mood or like my thoughts, or just trying to pay attention to that present moment of like, we are here right now, we're in this podcast, you're going to leave, I got other things that I'm going to do, you're going to do other things, but it's like just trying to just really be in the moment, because sometimes I feel like we are constantly just thinking about the next thing we need to do. Then when we get to the next thing, we're thinking about the next thing, and so we're never actually in the moment.
Yes.
And that's even like a thing that I've noticed in the gym, where I'm just like, can't wait to get out of here because I got to go shoot the podcast. And then during the podcast, I'm like, oh, can't wait because I got to shoot that video. And then I have to go edit that. And it's just that constant. But being in tune with kind of just the moment and you. And I think it helps with the mood, because you're able to balance it, or you're able to battle it when things aren't going the way you want it to go. And you feel like you're about to go down like a dark path.
Yeah. It's like you're learning how to focus, shift your attention instead of focusing on what you can't control, and letting it ruin your day. Like, oh, that person said that, and then I have to go to this family event, and then that uncle's gonna it's literally an endless spiral into a black hole. Let's shift our attention to what we can control, because that to me is more productive.
Yeah.
And spending my time, and we all have one life to live, spending my time in my life focusing on what makes me happy. Also, what I can control, like my thoughts, my habits, what I eat, what time I go to bed, what I wear. I also have a really good metaphor of, like, to me, your thoughts are like the clothes that you pick out in your closet in the morning. Like, when you're like, what do I want to wear today? What do I want to think today? It's the same thing. You pick your thoughts. You literally create them. So if you don't want to think about someone, or a situation makes you feel bad, or it just makes you feel any negative emotion, then you literally do not have to think about it.
Yeah.
We have that freedom.
Yeah. Pick out the right clothes.
Yeah.
I like that. And I like the idea of don't stress the uncontrollables. That's what Mr. Rob Tenke had said in our podcast.
Yes.
I was talking to him about, what happens when like people just cancel on you last minute and you have a whole day lined up. And one thing he had said was like, I can only focus on the controllables, things that are in my control. And if it's not in my control, there's no point in me stressing. It's just got to keep moving along.
Yeah.
With everything we've talked about today, what do you believe Megan Gallagher's purpose is?
I believe that my purpose is to just spread light and happiness, and to share my advice on any platform I can. I've just always felt like very, very deeply from a very young age called to just help other people in any way I can, and just be like a loving energy to people. That's it's just this it's my passion. It's what I'm called to, because it's every day I wake up with it and I go to bed with that in my heart and my head of just like, how can I show up more as myself in every situation and not change my energy with who I'm around, and learning to stay in my bubble of good vibes and not let it dip down because of, you know, where I am or who, like just really like mastering that.
Yeah. You're doing it.
Yeah.
You're putting it out there. You're putting it out there.
Yeah.
Before I get into the closing questions, this is when I reverse the role. I allow the guest to ask me any one question. Could be about something we talked about today or something you want to know about me. 2 rules. 1, it can't be a question I already asked you today. And 2, it can't be directly about the podcast. Any one question. Dun, 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 dun.
My question for you is, right now, currently, what is your number 1 goal in your life at this moment in your life?
Finding a way to make a living off of everything that I'm creating. That's my number 1 goal. Because if I can get to a point where I'm doing this full time and I can live within my means, like I'm not sitting here saying like tomorrow I should be making $1 million doing all this, but if I can get to the point where I can wake up every day financially free enough that my bills are being paid, I got a little bit of money in my pocket so I can treat myself here and there to experiences, then I would be it would feel close to living a dream, because I would be able to share my voice and share my visions, my creations with the world, and know that it's helping people and that people are benefiting from it. And just knowing that like I'm putting all the time and energy into it, that I couldn't be, you know, mad about the results. You know, sometimes, because literally this whole project has been funded off of Uber for like the last 3 years, driving for Uber full time. Super grateful for that platform, and I've talked about it plenty of times through the podcast.
Wow.
But it's just knowing like, if I wasn't doing that 40 hours a week, what could I possibly doing 40 hours a week?
Right.
That towards content, blogging more. You know, my whole thing is like, I know I have the ability that if I was given the opportunity to do this full time creating, I would be able to, I would put out something daily.
Yeah.
And that would, every day would be something different. So 7 days a week. Monday would maybe be a blog. Tuesday would maybe be like a solo podcast. Wednesdays will always be these types of podcasts. Thursday might be like a What They Don't See. It's like another series that I do on YouTube. Friday might be, I don't know, an IGTV conversation. I don't know. I know I have the ability to create on a daily basis.
Yeah.
And I think one thing that has given me that confidence is not overthinking it as much as I used to, and trusting my gut. So when I have an idea, I'm just like, let me go with this and see how it goes. And if it doesn't work, great. Move to the next. Instead of like, all right, I want to write a blog today. What am I going to talk about? Well, I could talk about this. I could talk about that. No. What's the first thing I just said? All right, that's what we'll do. Yeah. And then tomorrow, what's the first thing I think of? Let's go with that. So my big goal right now, as we just clocked in year 3 of the podcast, is now figuring out how to monetize this, and I've slowly but surely been testing the waters in the last couple months. I think for a long time, for the first 2.5 years, I was so head down and just building a brand and building content that I wasn't really asking, and I wasn't going out of my way to try to create those opportunities. And I'm not mad that I didn't, because I really believed like I needed to create something before I started saying like, give me your money, like, or whatever.
Right.
And now for like the last 6 months, I've slowly been testing different ideas, and I don't know what the perfect thing is going to be to monetize it, but I know it's going to happen. And when it does, it's just going to be amazing, because I love what I do. And same thing to what you were talking about with the TED Talk. It's like, you know, you didn't get it right away, but it gave you all that time to keep building on your career and keep, you know, fine-tuning your craft. I know that's all that's happening for me. I'm just getting better at interviewing and podcasting and creating, and I'm just building with the right people. So I know it will happen with time, but if there's anything in my life right now that is like at the top of the list, it's finding a way to make a living doing what I love, because I've been doing this for 3 years without really making any money. There's been a couple of sponsorship and like little brand partnerships in the past. But truthfully, this has been just a passion project. And when I can flip this chapter and say, no, this is my business, this is what I do full time, that'll be pretty amazing. And then being able to kind of dial back and actually live a little bit more. Because I've been head down for the last 3 years. And I've definitely had to let go of a lot of things that, you know, one thing I always talk about now where it's like, if I could do this full time, I'd love to get back to playing video games. And I'd love to get back to, you know, maybe really designating one day of the week to nothing at all. Like nothing. I'm talking like sleep in, whenever the alarm goes off, or whenever I wake up, I wake up. Like do something new in LA that I've never done once a week. You know, like trying to get to a point where one day of my week is just shut down for just me. Yes. What you were talking about before, I really loved. There's this book I just read called The Artist's Way. Shout out to my man, Zach Conovar. He recommended it. He probably won't hear this, but I always got to give props when people pass on books or something like that. But that's one thing The Artist's Way talks about is they call it the artist date. And you have to have... In the book, it talks about 1 hour a week that it should be your day, whether it's going to the movies by yourself, whether it's writing in your journal, but finding time to just be alone and to be in your thoughts and to just
connect
yourself. Yeah. Ask yourself like honest questions and deep dive into what does my life look like? You know, where do I see myself going?
Yes.
I think what we have in common is we both are very much on a similar path of like self-development and just sharing our stories and lessons learned.
I know.
But I think what we are really good at is having these conversations within ourselves, which sometimes people don't because they're in that at work. Then I go to the gym and then I'm going out.
Yes.
And there's never that stop moment to just think and reflect about your life. So yeah, I mean, all that to say, forever grateful for where I'm at today. It's conversations like this that keep building on the podcast. So I know it will happen. It's just a matter of when, and I'm just trying to just really appreciate the whole journey of it all and not stress.
Yeah.
I think for a long time, I put something up on my Instagram yesterday. For the first 3 years, I was definitely like stressing about creating content and trying to just like bring my vision to life. And it's like, I did it. It's there. It's going to keep growing on its own. It will keep getting bigger. It's going to evolve into something bigger. Why stress about it no more? Dial back like the speed at which you're producing.
Yeah.
And kind of just try to enjoy life a little bit more because it's been a quick 3 and I know it's just going to keep moving faster. So we'll see where we end up. Yeah. We'll see
As
where we
your
end up.
poster says, enjoy the journey.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
It's...
Shout out to my sister for making that. Yeah. She ever sees this, but yeah, enjoy the journey. My mother got me this too, this one. The journey is the reward with her handwriting.
Oh.
Yeah. So I wear it. But
that's so cool.
Yeah, that's you got it. I mean, that was something I picked up on Gary Vee when I was first getting into all this content creating. He always like just document the journey, enjoy the ride. And I was like, you know, he's definitely right about that. Yeah. Closing questions for you. 1, where can people find you on social media if they don't follow you already?
Yeah, so I have an Instagram. It is Megan W. Gallagher. And that is MEGANWGALLAGHER. And I also, it's easy. I have the same profile picture on all my social.
Smart.
Like LinkedIn, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, all the same picture. It's like kind of me sitting on a pink couch. Same thing.
Yep.
Yeah, just Megan Gallagher on everything. And my TED Talk is available on YouTube to watch. If you just search Megan Gallagher Anxiety TED Talk, it will come up.
Amazing.
But yeah.
We'll have all the social media plugged up. Make sure you guys and gals head to her Instagram, drop a bunch of bearded man emojis on her recent posts, and she will be like, that damn bearded man sent me these followers. I'll have your TED Talk linked up everywhere too, so people can see that with the website. But before I ask the last question, thank you for coming in today. This has been incredible. I love the energy. I love like you are so authentically yourself, and that is literally like that's what like you, that is such a skill because so many people just aren't able to just be that. Yeah. And I'm not saying anybody that listens or watches this, like, you need to be putting your voice out there to the world. You need to be sharing your thoughts and what you've been through in your life. But at the end of the day, it is so, so, so important to just be your authentic self and like you could not be more authentically yourself. So thank you for that. Thank you for sharing your story. Thank you for representing what you represent and just like telling your story and being vulnerable with it. You are exactly what this podcast is all about. So thank you for taking the time to be part of it today.
I think I should be thanking you because it's been a long time coming to get on this podcast, and I have been such a fan genuinely for so long, and like it just I was like I would do anything. I could show you like my vision boards and my bucket list from 2018. It's one to get on this like so many other things, but to get on Purpose and Youth podcast was on it.
Wow.
No joke. Talk about enjoying the journey. Like it took so long to get here, and everything we've been talking about like live in the moment and be grateful for even the little, not the little things, but just the things.
Yeah.
Like the things that you used to pray about and that are happening right now.
Yeah.
I see that quote everywhere and I'm like, well, gosh, I think it's about time I do really stop, pump the brakes and be grateful, because I like prayed to get a TEDx talk. I prayed to have my health back. I prayed to get on this podcast. Like so many things. I was like, I would do anything in the world, like, and they're all happening.
Yeah. I think that that's amazing to know that I was on like a mood board or
you were.
Like that's incredible.
Your face.
That is
your beard.
Fucking incredible.
you're everything. This logo.
Beard. Let's go. That's so amazing.
Yes.
But this is the thing. For both of our goals, wherever the world takes us, it's not a matter of if, it is a matter of when. Every single goal is going to it's going to come to life. It's going to come to fruition. It's just a matter of being patient and recognizing that when it's supposed to happen, it's going to happen. I'm going to make a living doing this at some point. It will happen. You're going to be the next Oprah, Tony Robbins. It will happen. It's just a matter of time. I love that.
Of course.
I love the beard was on the fucking mood board. Let's go.
Yes.
Last question for you. For somebody that's listening that hasn't found that passion, hasn't found that purpose, what's the best 2 to 3 pieces of advice you'd give them?
One, it's kind of similar to what I tell people if they're having a panic attack. It's one, stop what you're doing. Literally, put down the pen, put down the paper, put down the laptop, take a few deep breaths, go walk outside, and take time to be alone. Because I think we can get so caught up in other people's opinions or the likes, just so much stuff of, well, what if I don't make money? And what if that person says that? And it's like, I believe that God, universe, source, higher power, whatever it is, I believe that our gut feelings and our passions and what we know we were put on earth to do, it's put in us, and that feeling, that inkling, that urge, that like ping, it's put in us for a reason. And it wouldn't be put in you if, once again, God, universe knew that you couldn't find a way to make it happen. It's like that unshakable feeling. But I would say spend time with yourself. Go hiking for 4 hours and don't bring a phone. Just literally just like ponder your life, because that's how you start doing this digging, soul searching of how can I get to the, like, let's write down a list. Let's put my thoughts on paper. Well, what does make me happy? Like, what brings me joy? Is it working with animals? Is it cooking? Is it baking? Is it blogging? Is it writing scripts? Is it dancing? Is it making podcasts? Is it planting? Is it creating? Like, just literally write down everything. And then just be like, just be open-minded, and also realize how much courage for people like you and me and a lot of the listeners and viewers, how much courage it takes to follow your passions, even when money can just be kind of dicey, or just anything, people's opinions, money's tight, just a lot of stress and constant worry, and I don't know, well, am I really realize how much courage it actually takes to do it, and to realize that it's like, what, like, life should be about finding your passions and enjoying the moment and not comparing yourself. But I would say really like take time to be with yourself and your thoughts and to make lists. In my apartment, I have 10 goddamn vision boards everywhere. You're on it, and so is Oprah.
Let's go.
Like, come on. And I have lists everywhere. I have a giant whiteboard. It's like, let's put our thoughts down. Let's make some stuff happen. Let's figure out some stuff. Let's make connections. Let's network. Let's use our resources. And I think that when you're passionate about something, like you know it.
Yeah.
You'll know it. You don't have to overthink about it.
Yeah. Megan Gallagher.
Woo!
You're the best. This is fantastic.
Yay.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for having me on.
Absolute pleasure. We'll catch you guys next time. See ya.